I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to tonight's program. You can see Jesse Lee Peterson's here. And tell me, I want you to read that paragraph. This is out of your book, Jesse.
Oh, okay.
Out of Jesse's book,
And
chapter
your book
3.
has just started selling good.
Oh, good.
Welcome, Jesse.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It is good to have
Yeah,
you
good to
here.
be back.
Okay, I'll read this. It's in chapter 3, the centrality of fatherhood. Before any social repair can begin, we have to recognize the nature of our problems. And the fact is, today, fatherlessness is our most urgent social dysfunction. From out-of-wedlock births, to violence among boys, to rape and abuse of women, to drug use and poor school performance, most social pathologies can be traced to today's epidemic fatherlessness. Every night, fully 40% of American children go to bed in homes in which their fathers do not live. The psychological effect on children, male and female, of this alienation from their fathers is impossible to measure, but common sense dictates that it must be profound.
That's quite a statement, Jesse.
That is true, too. You know, there's a spiritual order to life, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. It's not an ego thing, it's a spiritual thing.
That's right.
And God ordained it to be that way, and when that is broken, you have the type of destruction that we see happening in our country overall. Whenever you want to destroy a society, you destroy the man first. You take out the head, and it's easy to destroy the wife and the children and take them the wrong way. And that's why you notice that in our country, whenever the enemies of our country, and I call the enemy men and women who do not believe in God, predominantly liberal type people, whenever they want to take control, they go after the man first. And
discredit.
That's right. And that is because evil understands that if it can take the man out, what's going to happen. And so evil works through people just as good worked through people. And 40 years ago or so, they took out the black man, put the government in, and now the black community is in a, I mean, it's worse than anybody can even imagine. And it is happening to the Hispanic family now. You know, there's an attack on the Hispanic man. You know, they call him too macho, and you know, he want to control everything because they want to turn his family away. They're doing it to the white man.
Oh, yes.
Call him a racist, and he want to control everything. Turn him away from his children and his wife. It's over. And we need to understand that, especially as men and women of God. We need to understand it and be honest about it so that good can work through us in order to stop this from happening. If not, I mean, if anybody having a doubt about what I'm saying, all they have to do is look at the black community. Look at the average black man. Look at the family. 70% of black babies are born out of wedlock today. 7-0. And that's because the father's not there. So if anybody have any doubt about what I'm saying, just open their eyes and look at the black family, and they can see what's going to happen to them. It's evil. It's absolute evil.
You know,
It's pathetic.
a lot of times even in our family, the devil used sex to pull a father away.
That's right.
And I think that's the biggest tool he uses of infidelity in a marriage. And then when that happens and a divorce comes along, we know firsthand from one of our daughter's marriages that their son, I asked my daughter a couple of days ago, have you heard from your sons? Not in a year, Dad.
Yeah, sex and food is the strongest forces that men and women have to deal with. Sex and food, and especially sex with men. Men use sex as a means of escaping. You know, they use it to forget about their weaknesses. It's like a cocaine addict. You know, whenever they want to forget about their problems and run away from their conscience, from God reminding them that they're wrong, they do cocaine. Well, that's what men do too, and especially men who hate women. If they hate their mothers, they're really into sex.
Really?
Yeah, because what happens is a couple of things happen. First, you become subject to who you hate. And then you have to go back to who you hate to get what was lost. And what is lost in hating is your innocence. And so when a lot of these boys and girls are brought up by their mothers, and not all mothers are like this, I want to make that clear, but most of them, when the mothers are impatient or dominating or too submissive, you know, real nice and sweet, they kind of smother the kids, it causes the kids to resent them. And as soon as you resent them, you fall away from the innocence that kids have, you know, when they're first born. And you wake up to that same spirit inside of mama. And so now you become subject to that. And you start looking for women to make you feel good. But every woman you get involved with is just like mama. You keep going back to the person that violated you, violated your life, and they don't understand what's going on.
Wow.
I hear a lot of women who say, well, I hate my husband because he's abusive, you know, he's mean. But it's her hatred, and you say, well, why don't you leave him? It is her hatred that will not allow her to leave. She developed like a love-hate relationship for him. Whereas if she could understand that it's wrong what's happening, but don't hate him for it, she would be able to walk away from the situation. And that's why women are not into sex the way men are. They would service you just to control you, because most women love power over anything else. So they would give this little weak man the sex for the power, but they would rather have a man who stand up and be strong. But the man don't understand what's going on with him. He doesn't understand. He need to overcome mama. God said that we were born of the flesh and then of the spirit. See, we were born of mama first, and after we suffer for a while, we cry out to God. Then we're born of his spirit, and that's where we can go free.
Well, I brought this up, your book, for one reason. Everybody I've talked to that's read it, and I've read parts of it, you did an excellent job.
Well, I thank God for it, you know, and that's another message that I have for people. I used to think that you have to be real educated, you know, you have to have a degree and all that. I don't have any of those things because I grew up on a plantation and I didn't really go to school a lot, even though I finished high school finally. But when I stopped judging and when I started to love what is right more than anything else, that's when God started to operate through me. And it's because of him that I wrote the book. He gave me the words to say and to write down. Also, I have a second book coming out in October of this year.
Do you?
Coming up, yeah, and it's published by Thomas Nelson. They're the people that publish the Bible. And so I have a book coming out there. And to me, it is absolutely amazing. But that's what happens when you get over evil, overcome evil, and love good. And the only way you're going to do it is that you have to get to know yourself. Most people don't know themselves. They're in denial. They will not admit that they're wrong. You know, that book, I had a woman call me up. She was a member of the National Organization of Women Who Hate Men. And she said she believed 100% in abortions. But when she read my chapter on abortion, it changed her mind.
Oh,
Really?
great.
Yeah, isn't that
Praise
amazing?
God,
Yeah.
yes.
And I
You
do a
know
lot
what-
of stories like that.
You know, really, this week Tommie and I was talking about now and the push for letting women into combat. You know, we've seen 2 bad cases already.
Yeah.
And thank God the Israelis have got more sense than we got not to let women on the combat line.
Yeah, I tell you, when I saw that, I saw a woman, I think it was a black woman, and they was like, had her on TV. She looked like she just had fear all over her. I felt sad how, as men of this country, we let our women down by putting them on the front line.
Well, we gave in to those, the ones who ready to put them over there for power, but they don't want to do nothing.
I know. You know, what I find interesting in our country today is that men and women of God now give in to the ideas of the world. They can be, you know, they allow the world to pressure them into doing the wrong thing. And that was unheard of before in this country. But for some reason it all changed. And you could go to the average church today and the preacher sound just like a person on the street. You know, we ask preachers to get involved with the abortion issue. Well, we can't because it's a woman's choice. It's her body, her choice. You know, homosexual issue. they will not get involved with these issues. And men are weak from the home to the schools, to the community, to the church today. And that's why our nation is falling apart, because the man represents God. We are not him, we're not God, but he works through us because of his order.
You know, when you left here last time, you were going to be one of the speakers at the Israeli
Breakfast.
Yes.
at the NRB. How'd that come off?
You know, to my surprise, there were a lot of people there from all over the country. They had many speakers. But when I spoke, I got a standing ovation. And I was absolutely shocked.
Why?
But I don't know. It was interesting. I don't know. I was just surprised.
Yeah.
But they received it very well. You know, I explained that if Israel goes, America will go. You know, our religion, the Christian religion, is an offspring of Judaism. You know, that's why this country was built on Judeo-Christian values, not just Christian, but Judeo-Christian. And I think that the people need to understand how important Israel is to us, and their religion as well. And I just explained those issues. I also told them I asked them to pray for black Americans, and not all black, but most of them, because most of them hate Israel. Most of them hate Jews. And the reason they hate Jews is because they've been lied to by their leaders. Jesse Jackson, he called New York Jaime Town. You know, he called the Jews Jaimes. You know, Louis Farrakhan calling them blue-eyed devils. You know, and a lot of the black preachers hate Jews. And so that idea has been implanted in the minds of a lot of black people, and they have turned away from Israel. And all that is adding to their suffering.
Yes, it is.
Because they don't know what they're doing.
You know, you're on here during our roundup where we ask people, you know, to give, to support, to help keep guys like you on the air, us on the air, and so on. And so I had to ask all my questions first. Now you got to tell us what has been going on with you. I know you got you may do a radio program from here while you're here. And
yeah, one thing I do Monday through Friday is I host a national call-in radio talk show on the Information Radio Network. I mean, that's another gift from God, because I've been banned from 2 radio stations in the last 12 years or so, 13 years.
Why?
Because of telling the truth. And whenever you tell the truth about black people, their leaders tend to threaten the radio stations and places like that to boycott or take away, you know, their shows and things. So I've been banned, but as one door closes, another one opens.
A bigger door.
Yeah, it always does. It never fails. That's what God's promise is. If we love him with all our heart, soul, and might, that he would never let us down. You know, he's greater than anybody else. So,
Amen.
So Larry Bates, the owner of the network, gave me an opportunity to do that. It is growing fast. We get a lot of people getting help, and we are now getting ready to go down to Augusta, Georgia, at the end of this week, and in support of the Augusta National Golf Club there. The National Council of Women, Martha Burt, had threatened to boycott them this coming
Home of
weekend
the Masters.
at the Masters tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an all-male club, golf club, and it's private. It's been that way for 71 years. They don't get money from the government, and they have a right to exist, but because of the jealousy and envy of the National Council of Women, along with Jesse Jackson, he's threatened to be there too this weekend, he called them gender apartheid, because they will not let women come in as members. They can go there, have lunch, they can play, but they just can't be members.
What difference would it make to him, in your opinion?
It would give him a sense of power. It would, in his mind, he think that it would send out a message to white Americans that they better watch out for him, and to black Americans that he's still in control. He still has power. This man has no shame. I need to remind you that he is a reverend, well, he called himself a reverend, cheated on his wife, had a baby in that relationship, went to the White House to counsel Bill Clinton, supposedly, about cheating on his wife, and I think they gave each other the high five there.
The high five,
yeah,
like this.
Like, right on, brother. And Jesse Jackson took his girlfriend to the White House with him.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's pictures in the paper about
Really?
that. And so this man has no shame at all. And so whatever he can do to intimidate, to try to maintain power, and he's clearly on the side of evil right now. He's for abortion, homosexuality, everything that's wrong, he's for it.
Didn't he go to Iraq to support Saddam Hussein?
Yeah. I don't remember him going there, but he did in an open letter. He wrote an open letter saying that after Colin Powell did his presentation at the UN, he became more supportive of Iraq rather than, you know, he's against the war more so. Which is no surprise because he supports Palestine, he supports Arafat, he supports the guy in Cuba.
Castro.
Yeah, Castro. He's on the side of all the enemies of America. This man is evil. But what's so sad about it, and most white people don't know, most of the black preachers are like that. Not all, not all, not all, but most are like that. And that's why you don't see the flock overcoming. You don't see them getting better because the head is so screwed up. And so, so we got to go down to Augusta, Georgia, to support Augusta, telling them they have a right to exist. This is America. That's why our men and women are on the front line right now to protect that right. And there are going to be other people down there helping us to get this message across.
If the women want a country club, they can have one.
That's right.
And they can not allow the men to have memberships if that would make them happy.
It would, that's right.
But why close down one that's already existed for 71
I'm telling you, the National Council of Women, Jesse Jackson, look out, they hate men. They hate anything that's good. They hate God. It's all about that.
And most of the people be surprised how many of the national leaders of the Clinton administration who were women were part of now.
Yeah, that's right. It was a corrupt administration, very corrupt administration. If
it only cost us $500,000, did you know that?
$500,000?
$500,000.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yes, it is. You want to hear the story?
Yes.
Back in 1995, we filed for a station that nobody wanted to build up in the Amarillo market where we're on broadcasting tonight.
Yes.
And so it was going through the FCC, sailing right through, and then in '96, Clinton's decided we better get some money and balance the budget. Remember the big push?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And so he went to his fellow Republicans and Democrats and said, this would look good for the country if we change the laws in regards to television, radio, open it up to where you can own as many stations as you want. Take off the limitations that's put on to keep the Hitlers out of the way. And so when they rewrote the laws, they also put in their little clause that said it'd be legal short-term green mail. Green mail is I can blackmail you at the FCC and it's legal. Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so they ended up, the one that we had filed, they filed on top of us. We have the distinction of being the very first television entity that was filed on because of the Clinton law of 1996.
Wow.
And then it cost us $500,000 to get the green mailers out so we could build a station. They had no intention of building it, and that's the way the law used to read, but they took it out. And so that's how we're up there today.
Well, Bill Clinton is a corrupt, wicked man, and thank God for President Bush. You know, he has a big responsibility of cleaning up the mess that Bill Clinton made, and he's doing a good job of it. And I hope that the American people continue to pray for him, that he can just hang in there and be strong, because, you know, when George Bush won, I said then God has given us another chance in this country, and I hope people realize it. And I think that after President Bush has finished, people will realize how fortunate we are that, you know, God did give us another chance to clean up the mess they made.
And we'll hear some of the things that they can't tell us now.
That's right. Yeah, it will come. But we got to wake up to what is going on in our country before it's too late. People got to know that it's a spiritual problem. They got to know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities in high places. Everything we deal with is spiritual, either good or evil. And we need to get away from looking at the color thing or the male and female thing in the physical sense, but look at the spiritual thing. That's why God said we have to be born again so that we can see what's going on. I was telling, I was talking to you guys earlier about in California, for example, there's an area in South Central Los Angeles where crime and corruption is just
Compton, where I went to school.
Yeah, absolutely out of control. I'm a black man and I'm afraid to drive through Compton at night.
Really?
Yeah, and no way. I will only go in case of emergency and take as many people as possible with me. That's how bad. That's how bad things are. They lost their police force at one point. The police department was so corrupt and messed up, and crime was so out of order. They had no police protection at one time, and the city council was out of control. It's messed up, but nobody would stand up and say what the problem is, so that the truth can set us free.
Is that going to happen in other places? When you said that, Compton, I remember going to the second grade there in 60 years ago.
Wow. Well, Compton's not the same as 60 years ago.
And it was just a bunch of dairy out there at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happening everywhere, Al, not just Compton. It's happening in Detroit. Gary, Indiana, for example. I remember when Gary, Indiana, I lived there for a little while. It was a nice place to live. But then they voted in a black mayor of the city. And once he became mayor, it went downhill.
You'd think it'd be the other way, wouldn't
right,
it?
You would think so, because they say, well, the white man won't give us a chance, it's the white man controlling. But when they control these areas, the areas will get worse instead of getting better. And they're controlled by black mayors, police chiefs are black, city councils are black. Everybody's black and their mama, but the areas are just out of control with crime because they don't use the money for the right things. They put it in their own pockets.
Corruption.
Yeah, corruption.
What you're describing is almost like the Iraqi regime.
That's right.
It is.
It is like that. That's right. It's exactly like that. Out of control, just crime.
And if you come against me, we're going to kill you.
That's right. And we have gotten threats like that too. Over the last 13 years, I've been called nigger and Uncle Tom. I've had guns drawn on me. Telephones been tapped and banned from radio shows. Just all kind of things. But because I love what's right, and I thank God for that, they can't stop me. And I don't think I'm going to die until God says it's time to come home. That's right.
How has I should have asked you this off the air. How is our viewership? They're very outspoken. How outspoken have they been against you or for you or what?
Well, I think I've received about 1, maybe 2 letters against me. But for the most part, people are writing and saying, thank you so much. Especially when I talk about forgiveness and how to forgive and overcome all that anger. So many people really appreciate that, because they don't. The hardest thing of my job is getting people to forgive. You'd be surprised at the number of Christians who hate their husbands or hate their wives or hate their children, or the children hate their parents, but yet they
just hate.
Yeah, they hate. Yet they name and claim Jesus, but they have hate in their heart. And you can't know God and have hatred too.
That's right.
You can't be his son. You can't be a son of God and a son of Satan. You gotta love one or the other. And when you resent somebody or hate somebody, you of the devil.
Yeah, I got to shake your hand. You know why?
What's that?
They hate me worse than they hate you.
That's why God brought us together.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jesus.
But the TV show is having a major impact.
Yeah.
We're
That's good.
People, yeah.
I get a lot of good letters about you. I really do. I've only gotten one who disagreed with you. And that's amazing.
But I don't mind the negative letters, because it's those that are negative that we want to try to help, because they just don't see and understand. And so we want to try to help them too. Yeah. You were going to say something. Cut you off.
Well, I was going to say you're in good company, because Jesus said the world would hate you because it hates him first.
That's right. And I would rather that they hate me standing for what is right than to hate me if I was a corrupt kind of a person.
That's right.
So, it's okay to be hated this way.
It's amazing to me that people will follow and idolize a corrupt leader.
Oh, hey, look, just go back a few years.
You can look anywhere
You can.
and see it, but how can people be so
Well-
sheep-like.
Well, and it's whoever seduces you away from goodness controls you.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's like a little chicken when she's first born, a little chick. And when they come out of the
Follow that
shell,
mama.
whoever is standing there is who they're going to follow.
Are you my mama?
And so when we are seduced away from innocence, fall to anger, that's who controls us. And if you look at, and I use the black community because I am black, as you can tell. I think, do I look black?
Yeah.
A little.
Okay.
I don't notice, really. Don't notice.
But 40 years ago, they were seduced away from innocence by their black leaders, by their preachers and leaders, and they've been following their leaders for the last 40 years or so. Even when they know that they're corrupt, they still follow their leaders because they're of their leaders. They've been seduced away from their innocence. It's like with a young girl who get raped. She become attracted to the rapist, and she is seduced by the rapist. Even when the parents are saying, stay away from him, she would sneak out the room at night to go be with the rapist because he seduced her away from her innocence. And so that's what's happening.
That is the most revolutionary statement I believe I've ever heard.
Yeah. But that's
Because
what's
I've
happening.
always, it don't make sense.
Yeah. It's like with kids, you could be raising your children, right? And they respect you, they're obedient. Then you send them off to school one day, and some bad kid say, come and go with me and steal some candy. And the kid said, no, I can't do that because my parents, my parent will get me. But they say, oh no, we don't have to tell your parents. Your parents will never know. And the moment the kid go with the seducer, the other kid that want to steal some candy, they become subject to that kid. And when they come back home at 3 o'clock, you don't even recognize them. All of a sudden they hate you, they're disobedient to you. You say what's wrong, they lie about it because they have been seduced by another identity, another entity, a darkness, a spirit of darkness. And now they hate the thing that they used to love, they hate it the most. They used to love their parents, which is of good. Now they love the enemy that seduced them away from good.
You know, you made me think of something I had never thought about in school and all. I was thinking about the guys that I run around with in high school, and that's been going to be 53 years pretty quick.
Yes.
But of the 4 guys that were in that was always going in the drugstore snitching, those 4 guys, all 4 of them are dead now.
Yeah.
Now, tell me that isn't. And the other guys,
That's right.
the rest of us are still running around.
Yeah. That's why God, once again, ordained the family, because parents have a responsibility to watch over their children as God is watching over us. But when you break up that family, the kids have no protection at all. And the seducer is waiting for them.
Oh, yes.
And he's waiting for them in other children. We should be careful who we let our children play with.
That's right.
But nowadays, if you say that, you're looked upon as a bad person.
That's right.
Who
You're
are you?
intolerant.
Yeah, that's right. You think your kid is better than mine. You know what? No, I don't want my children playing with these bad children because they're already corrupt, and they're going to seduce the innocent kids as well. And so we have that responsibility as parents to do that.
What's your favorite subject when you're on the radio?
That's a good question. Forgiveness. I think that if I could get people to repent and be born again, I think that things will change just like that in our country and in the lives of many people. I like talking about the black leadership. I love talking about them because they have gone protected for so long and they have caused so much damage. And so I love exposing them. The title of my show is, the theme is revealing the lie so that you can see the truth. So I like revealing the lie about these people, so in hopes that somebody will see the truth and overcome.
And get it out of their system.
That's right. Another thing, I love being an American. I'm American. I'm not Afro-American. I am 100% American. And I love pushing that as well. Because
Where'd that other come from?
African-American?
Yeah.
From Jesse Jackson.
You're kidding.
Yeah, he decided they went from being called Negro to black people to something else, and then finally African Americans. But he gave that title to them, and they just follow along with it without thinking. And so we try hard to get people to think, all people, but especially black
That's
Americans.
right.
All people.
They were Americans.
Yeah, they were American. Because their allegiance is to Africa rather than to their country. But when you go to Africa, they don't treat you like an African. They treat you as an American. You know, they're gonna treat us the same, whether you're black or white.
Really?
And I know blacks who have gone there, they would never go back again because they were treated in a mean kind of a way because they were American. And
Oh, really?
yeah, so they don't want to go back. We are not Africans, you know, we are Americans, and our heart need to be with our country. I thank God He brought me here. You know, His plan is always better than ours. So they say, oh, He forced us here. You know, they brought us on the ship. They sold us, right? Well, thank God for that, because
They might
maybe
have been extinct by now.
That's right. We could be stuck in South Africa with communist, socialist pig like Nelson Mandela, who said recently that President Bush is a racist because President Bush is going to, well, that's before the war started in Iraq. And I'm like, the nerve of this man to call President Bush a racist when we have done so much to help them.
Oh,
Got
yeah.
him.
Can you imagine that? I would cut off AIDS today. They would not get another penny from me if I'm a racist.
You know, I read the other day in something that the people who profited the most from the slave trade was the Arabs.
That's right, because it was the blacks in Africa who sold other blacks to Arabs. They're the one that made the money from us. But and that is a known fact within the black community, but they don't like to talk about it because they would rather blame white folks. You get more money when you blame whites
Sure.
than you do the Arabs. So they would rather blame the white man so they can intimidate him and shake down corporate America and get governmental money rather than dealing with the real source.
I heard or read something about Toyota and Jesse Jackson and that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is. I have a lawsuit filed against Jesse Jackson because...
You do?
Yeah, I do. Well, Jesse Jackson intimidated Toyota and called them a racist, and Toyota caved in and promised to spend over $700 million in the black community starting last year. And so they invited us to a meeting, Toyota did, along with Jesse Jackson's organization, to explain how they're going to be spending this money. And since we're a nonprofit organization, we don't get money from the government. So we went there, and there were about 200 or so people there, mostly blacks, a few Hispanic, but mostly black people. And Jesse Jackson was there, and he and I ended up sitting right in front of each other. He was just, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, thank you, God. There is a God, you know. Jesse Jackson's right there, and I've been waiting to get with him for a long time.
Your prayers are answered?
Yeah. Because I had tried to get him on my radio show, and he would not come on. He wanted to know who was my audience. Are they conservatives? He wanted the questions in advance. He wanted to listen to tapes of previous shows. So we just said, forget it. We tried to get Maxine Waters on. She would not come on. These people are cowards. But so Jesse Jackson got up at the meeting, and he said that the laws that the Attorney General is passing to go after bin Laden are really laws to go after the black leaders. And people applauding and amen.
Where did he get that kind of...
It doesn't have to
anything.
be true. It just needs to be said.
Uh-huh.
And it
Which
encourages anger.
It's just like the propaganda that the Islamics put out.
That's
There's
right.
not a word of truth in it, but boy, they shout it from the housetops, and
They're doing
people
that right
believe it.
now.
They're doing
we're
it right
taking over
now.
Baghdad, and the representatives from Baghdad saying that we're nowhere near it.
That's right.
Our media is going right along with... I need to warn you, as you get to know Tommie better, she's a real redneck, okay?
Oh, yeah. That's good.
I think so.
But long story short with that, he talked about his trade bureau. If you want to get money from this organization, you have to pay him $250 to $2,500 a year. The guy from Toyota got up and did a 20-minute presentation as to how they're going to be working with the community. Then he opened it up for questions and answers, and I raised my hand, and I said to him, is there any, I told him about our home for boys. We have a home for boys in our organizations from 13 to about 25, and we help these boys overcome anger, start businesses, finish school, realize they're in the greatest country in the world, that you can make it here if you want to. And I said that, is there any way that we could go directly to you without having to go through Jesse Jackson or anybody that's connected?
And you're sitting across the table?
And I'm sitting right across the table from him. And when I said that, all hell broke loose. I mean, people yelling and screaming and calling me nigger and telling me to sit down, and they can't believe I'm saying this because they hate the truth. They don't want you to reveal what they are about.
But it would look like they'd like not to have a king.
They love
to
their
pay
king.
homage to.
You would think so, but they love
Pay
their
taxes
king.
too.
If you take away black people leaders, they would kill you. It's the same thing that happened in a communist society. If you take away their leaders, they would kill you. They would rather have Barabbas over Jesus. They don't want Jesus, they want their leaders. Because that's how demoralized and brainwashed they've been made
What's
to be.
going to happen in Iraq?
Same thing.
In other words, all these plans that we're talking about,
that's right.
We're going to have another
Some
mess.
of those people are going to want their leaders. They're not going to want to be free. They're going to want someone to take care of them. And that's how it is in the minds of most black people here in this country today.
You know, so many times, Jesse, here's my redneck thing, okay? People will write me a letter or something about a particular position that we have read out of the Bible and talked about it here and everything else.
Yes.
And they'll get mad. And they'll write me and say, that's not what my preacher says. And I go, well, come out here, I'll give you a book that shows you
That's right.
that you can get the reference yourself. And then I suddenly become the racist, even though we're of the same situation.
It's amazing to me how people hate the truth.
Isn't it?
And hate the person that brings the truth. I remember when I was living in my hellhole, you know, and I have to tell you, if God can do with me what he's done, knowing my history, he would do it with anybody. God is really a good God. And when I was like that, though, I wanted leaders. I couldn't think on my own. You know, I would have stood up for Jesse Jackson. I used to listen to Louis Farrakhan because I was a young man. I was trying to find my way, and I couldn't find it. So I was listening to people that I thought were righteous people. And so when you're in that state of darkness, the light seemed like your enemy, and the darkness seemed like the light to you. It seemed as though it's the right way to go, but it's not the right. It just seemed that way because you can't see. But anyway, at this meeting with Jesse Jackson, after I said that, there was a judge, Greg Mathis, there. He has one of those court TVs, a black guy. He was screaming at me from across the room. Sit down, you've been watching too much Bill O'Reilly. You've been watching too much Bill O'Reilly show. And so I yelled.
He thought that because he's on TV, he could do that?
And so I yelled back at him, well, at least I'm not watching your boring show. And things just got worse.
I can imagine.
It was as though I had walked into a Ku Klux Klan meeting accidentally. It was that kind of rage. And these were black people, preachers, and I know some of those preachers around town, politicians and things. They were just screaming at me and calling me names. The meeting finally ended. Oh, Jesse Jackson went back to the podium.
Where most of the leaders get a cut out of that.
That's what it is.
That's generally what
the
I
money
see.
comes in. It goes in the pockets of the civil rights leaders, the preachers, the lawyers, and the politicians. The people don't get it. They use the people to get it. I mean, when they had the last riot in L.A., the government put in millions and millions of dollars. But if you drive through South Central, where's the money? The buildings are still burned down.
Are they?
It's still a ghetto, and the preachers are all wealthy. Their churches are bigger. You know.
You know, I haven't been in Northeast Washington since the Martin Luther King riots.
Yes.
And when all the buildings were burned down. You remember that when we were living there at that time? I wonder if those ever been rebuilt.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were not, because they do not rebuild the cities. They don't. They use that money for their own personal gain. That's why we got to wake the people up so they can see that they're being used.
That's kind of like
not about
when they
love.
were fat.
That's right.
Arafat is now one of the wealthiest men in the world.
Yeah.
And
But
what's
his
he done?
people have nothing.
They still have nothing.
And yet you have people there sacrificing their life for
That's right.
this man. You know, they put bombs on their bodies and go and kill themselves, thinking that they're going to get some virgins when they get to heaven. You know, it's just amazing how people are. But
I wonder how the virgins feel about that.
I don't think a virgin would want a man that would kill
not the
himself
truth.
like that, for that reason at least. But in the darkness of your imagination, when you're not born again, that's what you do. You
It doesn't make any difference whether they're white, green, yellow, or purple,
That's right.
Brown
or black. It still comes, or black, right? It still comes out the same way.
The
It's
same
the
thing.
mind of the evil mind of man until it gets God in that.
That's
soul.
right. I counsel with all races of people, all ages, riches to the poor, and it's the same problem. It's the same thing. It has nothing to do with color at all. It's a spiritual
It doesn't.
thing. It's absolutely spiritual. I made this long story short about the thing with Jesse Jackson Toyota. Jesse Jackson went back to the podium and he said, black conservatives are parasites. And whenever I shake the tree and the fruits fall to the ground, they're there to pick them up. And the people applauded and amen that. The meeting finally ended. And Jonathan Jackson, one of Jesse Jackson's sons, came over to where I was standing at the coffee table while my guy was giving some information to Toyota. And he hit me. And so I'm saying to
What do you
him,
mean?
He literally hit me because he
You
was so
doubled
mad.
up his fist and let you have it, huh?
Yeah, he was so angry at what I had said about Jesse Jackson that he couldn't handle it. And so while he and I'm telling him, you're breaking the law here, you can't do this, Jesse Jackson came over and he started cursing me out. You know, he said words that I didn't say when I was a sinner. I wouldn't say. He was like just cursing me. And Greg Mathis came over, and Judge Mathis, and he was saying that, where's Bill O'Reilly now? You're always on Bill O'Reilly's show. Where is he when you need him?
Have you been on the Riley show?
Yeah, I've been on there a lot, and so he's seen me on that show. As a matter of fact,
Does he treat you pretty courteously?
oh yeah, very kind to us. Very kind. After when that incident happened, I went on his show with the tape, because we had audio tape of what went on. And Bill O'Reilly played it on the show, and then later he had Greg Mathis on, and he asked him about, you know, why you guys are attacking Jesse Peterson out there? You know, what's going on with that? And he was shocked about that question because he didn't know he was going to be asked. But
I bet that's so. How did he answer it? Change the
he
subject?
made up something. He didn't tell the truth about it. And long story short, again, the meeting ended. I mean, they had me in a circle, threatened to kill me, and they're going to hurt me.
There at the Toyota meeting.
Right. So they got me out. My guy got me out, and I called Larry Clayman over at Judicial Watch, my friend over there.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
We loved supporting him.
Yes. And I filed a lawsuit against Jesse Jackson,
Was Larry?
Rainbow Push,
Good.
Jonathan Jackson, and Judge Greg Mathis, and some others there too. They've been trying to get it thrown out of court, but the Superior Court of California refused to throw it out, and we're waiting to go to trial. And I want to go to trial. I want to have an open trial. I don't want to make any settlements behind closed doors. And the primary reason that I want to do that, I want money from it too. I don't want to pretend I don't, because I can use the money to run the organization with. But I want Americans to see that Jesse Jackson is an evil man, and that blacks and whites and Hispanics alike have to stand up to this man before it's too late. Because the more we allow him to get away with it, he'll encouraging other evil people to do the same thing.
That's right.
And that's why I don't want anything done behind closed doors. And as we move
Good for
forward, I'll let
you.
you guys know. I'll be talking about it on my TV show and the radio show.
Good for you.
You're here taping programs. We need to tell people.
Yeah, I'm here to tape 13 more series, 13 more shows within 2 days. And I tell
Wow.
you, it's a lot of fun though. The first time I did,
Did you
it,
do 13 last
yeah, I
time?
did 13 last time.
Yeah, well, you came in and just bang, 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 bang.
It was easy. It was fun.
Good.
It really was. I mean, and even the cameraman and people were saying, "Wow, this is real easy." I was surprised at how easy it would be as well. But when you tell the truth, it's easy.
Of course.
You know, things are easy. Your burdens are light. Your weight are made clear. And so that's why I want to encourage people to be honest. You know, speak up, but don't hate. Tell the truth, and life will become much easier. You still have a whole lot of challenges, but you can see how to overcome them.
So many times when you do 26 programs, that's what our contract's for. Sometimes they'll say, I'm through. I hope that's not going to be your viewpoint when you get through your 26 tomorrow.
Oh no, we're already planning for the next 26.
Okay.
We're getting the names and phone numbers of guests already for the next shows.
That's good.
Now I'm going to do it as long as God and you guys say so. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that.
When the trumpet blows in the east, we'll shut it down and give it to somebody else.
That's
okay?
right. That's right. I consider it a blessing. And it's another way to get the truth out. It's another way to help people. And so I don't take it for granted at all. Not at all.
Have we had any questions come in?
Well, we had a gentleman call, but he won't answer the phone now. He wanted to talk to Jesse, he said, but he won't answer the phone. So
What's his first name?
William.
Call us back and maybe we got the phone
Maybe we got the wrong phone number. So if, William, if you're the one that called.
I did get an email from someone
Okay.
who said that they wanted me to pray for their son, that he would overcome marijuana and get over his ex-girlfriend, and that he has a baby by her and he needed to focus on raising his little girl and finding a good job. And the one thing I can say that this person can say to their son is that I used to use marijuana too. You know, I had a lot of anger. I was very insecure. I had a void, an emptiness within me, as though something was missing in my life. I realize now I was longing for my father. I needed my dad, but and in that resentment, because when you condemn, when you judge others, it come back on you, and that's what I was feeling. And I tried to get away from it by using marijuana. And it doesn't help you get rid of the problem, you know, and it makes you feel good for a minute. But when I started to examine myself and I forgave my parents, my father for not being there, my mother for trying to control my life and hating my father, when I forgave them and God forgave me, he gave me peace and the marijuana just fell away. I didn't need it anymore because I no longer had the conflict. You know, there was nothing to escape. And so I would recommend that it sounds like it may be a mother writing about her son, that she would go to her son and apologize for the things she have done wrong. Because as parents, we all make mistakes. And I would just go and say, you know what, I'm sorry for being too controlling or whatever it is you've done, without excuse. And say, I was wrong, I realize what I've done to you, and I'm sorry for that. And that's the beginning. He may start, you know, forgive her. And if he can forgive her, everything else will start to fall in place. The hardest thing is for many parents to admit that they're wrong. They would send you to hell before they say, I'm sorry. And kids know, they know that their parents are hypocrites. And they hate the hypocrisy. And so when parents don't forgive, it makes it hard for kids to forgive. If you want to know what a parent is, look at their children. You know, kids are the mirror image of what their parents are all about. You know, a lot of parents say, no, I'm a Christian parent. You know, I pray for my kid. I go to church every day. But when you, behind closed doors, they're impatient. They're mean to them. They're talking about other people in negative ways. They're hypocrites. And kids hate hypocrisy, especially coming from Christian parents. And so I would recommend
And that's probably why Christianity is in such trouble today.
It is. I'm telling you, Al, I hear it all the time. That's one of the reasons the Muslim religion is taking over.
Why?
Because Christianity, first of all, is very weak today, and most of Christians are hypocrites. You know, they're not what the Bible say they should be. They don't forgive. They don't treat their neighbors the way they would like to be treated.
Well, how does Muslims... They're still human.
Religion,
how do they get around that?
Because their religion is a mean religion. It's an evil religion.
A dogmatic.
Right, but it looks strong. You know, when you put it up against Christianity, it looks like strength. And so angry people are going to be attracted to that. And that's how they're seducing a lot of the young black men, because a lot of them are very angry. And so Farrakhan and others tell them that's the white man's religion. You know, the Muslim religion is the black man's religion, and they are attracted to that.
You know, when you stop and you think about the problems that we're having, I've got to, the next time, what's this, Monday?
Yes.
I wish you were here on Wednesday night when Teen Challenge is here. You know, we minister a lot with Teen Challenge.
Right.
I've often wondered what the statistics are within Teen Challenge about the father relationship problem.
I'm going to have a couple of them on my show in the new taping this series.
Would you ask them that if it isn't embarrassing? Because we may be missing a clue even there.
Yeah.
It's a marvelous program, but it's kind of like this TV station. We can use all the help we can get.
That's right. We work in juvenile detention centers. As I said, I have a home for boys. We have an after-school program for young boys. And the first thing we deal with is the home life first. The first thing we have to deal with is that they got to learn to love their parents. They got to learn to honor their parents. It doesn't mean they have to hang out with them. They don't have to go get drunk with them, but just don't hate them. God wants us to respect our parents.
It goes back to that commandment.
Yeah, that's right. And 90% of the time, most of the problems start from not having, even if the parents are in the home, most of the time it starts from there. And if we can get them to forgive their parents because they've done the best that they can do, then things start to change.
Have we got headsets around here somewhere?
We do. There's one.
Jesse, there's one for you.
This caller just want to make a comment. Can we just hear him without the headsets?
No, because we may want to talk to him.
Okay.
Have I got one here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
See if he's on there, Jesse. Have you got any sound?
Al, are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
Did you get him?
Can you hear him? Do you hear him, Jesse?
Yeah, I can hear him now.
Okay.
I hear you, Al. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
go ahead with your comment, Al.
We don't hear it over the speakers.
Thank you.
It's got to come out over the speakers.
Right, it's a nonprofit organization that I run, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, and our purpose is to rebuild the family by rebuilding the man. Yeah.
Probably one of our, besides coming to Christ, that's one of the biggest problems in the black community is the breakdown of the family.
Yes, sir.
And we have a birth rate, I think we're probably at right around 80% now of birth rate is out of wedlock.
Yeah, 70%, the last report I saw. 70% of black babies are born out of wedlock.
And quite often you hear some of these, quote, black leaders getting up and speaking about discrimination and racism and all this stuff. But when we look around our community and we see all of the young unwed mothers, and the babies they have are not interracial babies, they're black babies.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, that's why I've said that black Americans are suffering not due to racism, but the lack of moral character. Most blacks are immoral. And until we deal with the moral issues, no money, no white man loving us, no American apologize going to solve the problem. We've got to deal with the moral issues.
Yes, that is definitely at the root of a lot of the problems that we have.
Yes.
But I just wanted to say I'm glad to see you, to see your face, so I can put a face with the name. So when I hear your name being mentioned on American Family Radio again, I know who we're talking about.
All right. Well, make sure you watch my show.
Al, do you watch his program on here?
Yes, sir. I see you, and I guess that's you and your wife?
No, not me.
That's my wife.
No, do you watch Jesse?
This is the first time I've ever seen him.
Oh, really? Do you get our schedule?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, make sure you call back and tell them you want a schedule.
Yeah.
Because your program was on last night.
Right.
And this morning sometime. I saw it both times.
Yeah, I'm on every day in the week except Friday. So, and 2 times a day too, I think. So make sure you tune into the show, Al.
Okay, and do you have any books out?
I do. One is called From Rage to Responsibility.
Okay.
I think they have it on camera now, From Rage to Responsibility. And I write about these issues and other issues that we are talking about here today. And it's for everybody. I highly recommend that you get a copy of it. You can order it through the bookstore here.
Yeah,
Yes.
just call the 88 number here, the toll-free number. It's $19.95 plus the shipping, and you're in Clovis, so you don't have to pay the tax.
Right.
Great. I will do that.
Yeah, I recommend you get a copy of it, Al.
I will, sir, and it's good to see you, and I look forward to catching your program.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
calling in.
I should have asked Al, how did he happen to, was he just channel surfing when he came across there?
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, that's interesting.
Yes, it is.
Well, Al, really, thank you for calling in.
Well, it sounds like he watched your show, you guys. So
Well, it's called a comedy hour.
yeah.
Or the old folks home or something. You got other
No,
calls coming
well,
in?
this is from Jeannie Jones up in Lubbock. She says, I'm 100% for you, Jesse. So he's so honest and thorough.
Oh, thank you very much.
She's a teacher.
It's interesting how some people can hear the truth and receive it just like that. It just so it makes sense. It's clear to them, but others can hear it and they hate it. You know, the truth just seems like they're enemy to them. And you know, God said only a few is going to find that straight and narrow path.
Well, this man who called earlier, William, he said, what do you have against Afro-Americans, and why are you such a sellout?
Well,
he's the one we couldn't reach when we tried to call him back.
I like the question though. Good question.
Yes, it's a good question.
817, what area code is that?
I don't know. I think that might have been the problem.
Well, the first thing is that we are not African Americans. We are Americans, and we need to get rid of that idea so we can appreciate what God has given us.
That's right.
This country. I'm for them because I'm telling the truth about what is wrong. And Black Americans have been lied to for so long. We've been told it's not our fault. It is racism. It's not our fault. It is slavery. It's not our fault. It's the white man. And that's not true. You know, and somebody got to tell the truth and hope that they would finally wake up and take control of their life. When people say, well, you hate black people or you hate yourself, and, you know, I just realized that's the devil working through them.
Sure.
You know, trying to deceive.
Another lie.
Yeah. And so I'm not moved by that.
Isn't repatriation, or what is that word? That Jesse's pushing?
Oh, reparations.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing that is in the forefront. And I am surprised by that because I heard of reparations about 13 years ago.
Did you?
And I thought, there's no way America would fall for that. And I'm surprised how far that idea has come along. And because white Americans are afraid to stand up for the most part.
That's it.
They're afraid of being called a racist. It looked like reparations is going to happen. And it's just so unfair. You know, it's a racist idea itself because I don't know anybody here alive who have ever owned a slave. But yet you're going to have to pay for something that you're not guilty of. And even black people who work are going to have to pay reparations because it's going to come out of their tax dollars. This is just another way for the civil rights leaders and the preachers to get money by using black folks.
Oh, sorry.
Jesse Jackson even said in a speech he gave or a press conference down in San Diego, California, he said the money is not necessarily going to the people, it's going to the organizations. And so I can't help but wonder if he's talking about his organization
Of course.
and his friends. But we need to stop reparations because if we don't, we will never overcome that. We will never survive.
You know, you need to address a subject that I get on my bandwagon once in a while, but they get tired of hearing that. It's people, Christians especially, think that if I stand up for some and don't argue, if I argue with you and don't just sit down and be quiet, boy, kind of an attitude, I'm not a good Christian if I argue with you.
Those are men and women who really don't believe in God, because there's no way that as a man or woman, see, what people don't realize is that when we are born again, we are representing God on earth. He's working through us, men and women. He's working through us for the good. When people see us, they should see him, and they should see the power through us. And when you see evil coming through other people, you have a responsibility to point it out. You're like an outer consciousness for them, because they have not discovered the inner consciousness, the light of God within them, within themselves. And so as men and women of God, without hating them, we have a responsibility to point it out. So when they say, well, you're not a Christian for standing up, just pray, it just tells me right away they have not found God. Because Christ, when you look at the life of Christ, he never did just sit around and pray.
He was a confronter.
That's right. And God asked us to be Christ-like. He wants us to be like him. We have to be a confronter, because the devil is a confronter. Whenever he want to corrupt people, he confronts you. When they wanted abortion, they confronted that issue and brought it to the forefront. Whenever they wanted to corrupt our children in the public school system, look what they did. They took God out. You can't even mention God in the public school system. When I go there now to give talks at the school, they ask me not to mention God. Don't mention God. So the devil is a confronter. Why shouldn't we?
How do you handle that?
I do it by talk about, forgiveness and the spiritual aspect of it and what happened. And
You're still going to talk to them.
Yeah,
you got to.
Right, I have to. Otherwise, it's a waste of time to go there. Because if you can't get these kids to forgive, nothing else is going to make them better. They got to forgive. Because even if they gain all the finance in the world, they're still going to be messed up emotionally and spiritually, because they hate their enemies, they hate their friends, they hate their families. So they have to forgive.
I'm going to do a Jesse Peterson, you didn't see the invitation I got today. I finally accepted an invitation to one of the regional national religious broadcasters.
Oh, good.
And they wanted me to share with them about my engineering things and all that with the younger generation. And I'm going to surprise the national religious broadcasters. I'm going to tell them it starts off with one basis. Are you listening to God?
That's right.
And all the rest of it will come into place.
That's right. It sure will. Well, good. I hope they don't see you on the show tonight and not.
No.
We can't.
The national religious broadcasters won't watch Christian stations.
Listen, remind people to call in with their questions, because we need some questions and need some comments from
comments. And if you want to talk to Jesse, I tell you what, let's do. Let's take a quick song break, and if we do a song break,
maybe they'll go to the phone. Yeah,
we want people to call in. They can ask me anything.
That's right. You're not afraid of questions.
And we'll talk. Jesse will talk to you on the air.
About anything.
Anything.
Yeah, so feel free to call in.
Okay, so you're going to love these young kids that are going to sing.
Oh, okay.
I think can we go
Buddy
to
and
it?
Tina.
Okay.
I looked over your name. What did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels are coming after me. Coming for to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, Thank you. Thank you.
Let us know. I think we got
That is
somebody.
so fantastic, guys.
And who we got?
This is Sharon from Big Spring.
Sharon, can you hear all of us okay?
I hear you, Brother Al, fine.
Can you hear me, Sharon?
Just,
You better turn his mic up just a little bit, control room.
All
Go
right.
ahead and talk to her until she hear.
We are testing. I'm glad you called in.
okay, yes.
And the numbers are on the screen for others to call into.
You got him now, okay, Sharon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
Well, let's go. Let's see where we're headed. Thanks for calling.
Well, thank you for receiving my call. I listened to the program today, Brother Jesse's program today with Jamie Berryhill, who's running for Congress, I believe.
Yes.
And it's just amazing to me. I am so inspired by your testimony and your ministry, Brother Jesse. The reason is because I'm so glad for you being invited to come by Brother and Sister Cooper on Prime Time, because there is an epidemic, I believe an epidemic, of people who have been forced to live in homeless shelters.
Right.
So I had seen the ministry of Mission Messiah on Prime Time before, and I noticed that it seems an association where God is bringing together the homeless situation with politics somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I was forced to live in a homeless situation a while back, and it seemed that at that time I thought I was the only one going through that.
Right.
But now I have a sympathy and a heart for people that I've never had before. If I had not lived in that situation, I would not have. Also, I wondered up until I saw you on Prime Time why it is I was being exposed to so much corruption, the homosexuality in ministries.
Yeah.
I lived in Houston before I came here, and it was so prevalent there, it was nauseating. I've seen it in other places since then. So I know that what you're speaking is truth. I would think 99% of what I've heard you speak on, I have had to experience personally, not necessarily happening in my personal life,
Right.
but situations that I've had to deal with personally with family and friends. it's pathetic and it's heartbreaking to hear some of the things that you say. Nonetheless, I have heard you say nothing that's not true.
Yeah.
Sharon, are you
You're right,
black? Sharon?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Are you black?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Yeah. You know, Sharon, I understand your sadness about it, because when I think about it, it's pretty sad too. It is sad that black Americans in the condition that it's in, but it's that way because nobody has come forward and told the truth about what's going on.
Yeah.
And we can only change by telling the truth. And so I know exactly how you feel.
And I think it's you know, you're having more of an impact because you're a man speaking, and people will listen. But even in my own family, you know, just personally, I've spoken out about some of the same issues you have.
Yes.
And the responses that I've gotten have been phenomenal. And, you know, in my own family.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you know, still heartbreaking. And even in the church, when I've tried to bring up different issues, this is a small town, and the church where I was raised, you know, my father was active in the church, and my family members, all of those, well, he's deceased now, but the others, I mean, it's people who were influential growing up have changed so.
Yeah. That's right.
It's so, you know, I know what you're saying is true. And
you know, one thing I want to say to you, I get the same response that you're getting from telling the truth. That's one thing that really doesn't matter if you're male or female. When you tell the truth without resenting, even your family members, some of your family members are going to turn on you. And so I've not been well received up until lately. People are starting to receive the message. But when we first started out, I mean, black people thought that I had sold out. They thought I was Uncle Tom. But because I stood, you know, not giving into the pressure, some are starting to realize that, you know, he is telling the truth and it's time for a change. But when your family and your friends are coming against you, you have to just not take it personally and forgive them, for they know not what they do, and just tell the truth and let God do the rest.
Exactly.
Because
it's just easier said than done.
Well, it's only hard when you take it personally, because you can't want God's love, and then want the world to love you too.
Yes,
you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice one for the other. And I am willing to sacrifice the love of the world for the love of God. And so when they attack me or don't want to hang out with me, I don't mind, because I have peace with God, and I don't need their love anyway. And that's the attitude or relationship with God that you have to have. So when they attack you in your family or don't want you to come over for dinner, it wouldn't be a big thing.
You know, Sharon, let me ask you a question. What age group would you say you're in?
I'm grandmother.
Okay, so you've seen them.
Grandmother be 20.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not impossible, but you know, I'm over 20.
All right.
But you have seen the changes that Jesse's talking about.
Oh, definitely. Most of what I saw, I was blind. I mean, you know, just literally walking in darkness until I was saved. I was a born-again Christian at 30. I'm 51 now, by the way. And
you sound young.
The way that God has opened my eyes, it is God and it's divine. There is no way that I could recognize what I do, recognize the shape that we're in. There's no way that I could see that and not compromise without the move of God in my life.
That's right.
You know, I had the greatest pastor in the world, I believe, who saw to it that we as his congregation were taught the word, and his name is John Osteen. In my mind, he's the greatest pastor that ever existed on the face of this earth. But anyway, he taught truth. I mean, he saw. I don't know anything about his personal life except I believe he was a man of integrity, but he taught truth.
Well, you know, one point you make, Sharon, and Al, and I want to add to is that when I was growing up, I didn't even know a homosexual. And if you were a homosexual, it was kept quiet.
Right.
I used to think only white people were homosexual. And the reason I thought that because my uncles would go to Florida from Alabama and upstate New York and work during the summer, and they would come back talking about how they ran into, you know, white homosexuals, right? But and so in the black community, it was unheard of. And now,
Yes, it was.
in the average church, not all of course, but in the average black church, the choir members are homosexual, the assistant pastors are homosexuals, the ushers and deacons are homosexuals, and the preacher says nothing about it. He doesn't rebuke it. He doesn't try to get them help with it so they can overcome it. He just collect their money while they sing in the choir and help him out. It is so accepted that it's absolutely amazing.
I never met a homosexual until I was at stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and we were at Jacksonville Beach in 1952. I never knew such a thing existed.
Yeah, that's right. And if a preacher cheated on his wife, the way Jesse Jackson done, there's no way he can walk into another black church and get a standing ovation.
That's right.
It was unheard of. And now we have accepted evil as good, and woe unto the man who is called evil good and good evil.
That's right.
We're going to suffer. That's what's going on.
Well, it sounds like, you know, if I had not seen this for myself, you know, I would be tempted to think that you know, were a sellout, or that you were not right, or that you were exaggerating, or that information is not accurate. But because I have seen this and experienced, you know, for my own self, that I know that what you're presenting is truth. I had to battle a lot of demons. There were a lot of spirits that began to come against me as I began to listen to truth as you were presenting, you know, telling me things. And I know that there were demonic spirits saying things to me, you know, about you, I know could not possibly be true.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about things, people lying to me or gossiping about me to me, about you to me, but just voices coming to me to try to keep me from listening
Yes,
to
ma'am.
truth.
That's right. That's how the devil works.
Exactly. And our people, I mean, we are just in a position where we definitely we need help. A lot of times the leaders are in worse situations.
That's right.
We have, you know, it's sad to say, I want to say this and go because I know that there are other people who want to speak. But I was listening to your program one day, and you were addressing the issue of abortion.
Yes.
And there was a person in my house who just literally began to attack me and say that they didn't believe that you had the right to call names, that you were making black people look bad, you were condescending to black people. My question was, after I finished listening to as much as I could, I made this comment. I think it's condescending and making me look bad for my women of my race to be on talk shows, scantily clad, making motions that are very immoral. That doesn't help me look good as a black woman.
That's
because
right.
in so many cases, when people of another race see one person of my race saying and doing something destructive, it makes me and everybody else look the same way.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm stereotyped. So my question was, why is that not immoral?
That's right.
Why is that not wrong? Why is that not ever spoken against?
Well, that's good.
Wow. You're bringing tears to my heart, tears of joy. You're right on the money.
She's dangerous because she thinks for herself.
I'm telling you. Are you in the Midland, Odessa area?
About 45 miles east of here.
Really? You know what I'd like for you to do, if you don't mind, to call here or my office and leave your phone number. And we'd like to get you on the show one day.
I'd like that.
Yeah, because we need to get women such as yourself out there too, so that other young women and men to know that not all blacks are thinking this way. You know,
That's
something's
right.
wrong with the way we've been living.
Well, I like that. And Scripture says that the elder women are to teach the younger. I may not sound very old, but, you know, I've been through a lot. And you know, being a grandmother is you know, that's
hell nowadays, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And so it's not been a cakewalk for me, you know. But at any rate, yes, I accept the invitation because
Well,
I
get in
think that I
contact
have.
with me, all right? Call at the end of my show. At least there's a phone number that you can call me.
Yeah, well,
And we'll hook it up with you.
we'll
All right.
get that.
Thank you for
phone
your
number.
call. You're a good woman.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All
Bye
right.
bye. Now that shows you that what you're doing is
Yeah,
right.
that's powerful. Very, very good.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting question from Deborah in Corpus Christi.
Oh. Well,
She
thank you,
doesn't
Deborah.
necessarily want to be called, but
Did you see anything on the Million Man March about this? Jesse Jackson talking to Louis Farrakhan.
At the Million Man March?
Yeah. He said Jesse Jackson was the Messiah, and Jackson didn't deny it.
I didn't hear that.
It says Rush Limbaugh has a tape showing this.
Oh, yeah? That's news to me. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of stuff was said, but I did not hear it. I can't verify that it's true.
my goodness.
But I know that day that they had that Million Man March, I said that Louis Farrakhan rose to a Hitler status that day.
Yes, he did.
Because he was validated, you know,
That's
by
right.
the Christian community, the white community, the media validated him, and they gave him power that he
Oh, it
doesn't
was-
deserve or should not have. That's for sure.
It was a black day for America.
Hey, here's a question while we're waiting on this next phone call. Wants to know about the lawsuit you have against Jesse Jackson. Self-righteous people would say, turn the other cheek. That's what I was talking about a while ago,
I am doing it, but I'm doing it in the courts. You know, I'm doing it the right way.
in the right way.
That's right. I'm not hating him.
And if you knew Larry Clayman, you would
Yeah.
know he wouldn't touch it unless he's one of the finest Christian men I ever met.
That's right.
Okay. Any others there?
I don't guess we have a call.
We haven't got that.
They're
No.
working
Larry
on it.
Clayman would not have taken that if he didn't think
That's
it
right.
was justified. That's for sure. And Larry doesn't care if you're conservative, if you're black or white, or the president or the vice president. When you're wrong, you're wrong, and
That's
he's
right.
going to expose it. He's going to do something about it. And that's what a Christian should do. They cannot or should not let the devil rule, but because they have all these excuses, made up stuff. You know, Christians are supposed to have power. You don't have power by just sitting back doing nothing.
That's right.
You know, you don't even know what power you have until you step out in faith.
Well, you know, so many times, I guess, here's one of my, I think we got somebody on the phone. Hello.
Hi,
Hi, who's this?
this is Wendy Colby from Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay.
And Mr. Peterson, I wanted to ask you, now you guys have been talking about a lot of deep involved subjects, and I guess my question is kind of simple, but as I was growing up, I grew up with 13 foster brothers and sisters, and some of us were Indian, some of us were black, some of us were white. Didn't make no difference, and when I did hear white people make racial comments, I just felt like they were idiots, and I
They
felt
were.
bad for my black friends, you know.
Yeah.
But then, a few years back, I went to visit a family friend of mine in Baltimore, and of course, I lived in a black neighborhood and everything, and they wouldn't let me walk outside by myself in their neighborhood because they said it was dangerous just because I was a white girl.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I understand the easy answer is racism, but what could they possibly have against me just looking at me? I mean, you know, obviously they'd know I wasn't prejudiced or I wouldn't be there.
Well, they hate you because you're white, and because they have been told that you are their problem. You know, and because they have not had good parents to say that this is not true. You know, this woman is. All white people are not against you. They, in their anger, oh, I know what it is too. See, when they were told that white people were their problem, they became angry at white people. And when you resent someone, everybody look the same to you. It's impossible to trust any white people. And so when they see you out there, to them, you're just another white person who you are part of the enemy. You know, you're part of the enemy because you're white. And that's what anger does. That's why the first thing that we try to do is to show people how to overcome their anger so they can see by the light and not in the darkness.
Now, would I be in danger if I was to ever step inside a black church?
Well, it's all depending on which church you go to. You know, if you went to Louis Farrakhan church, I'll be concerned.
Well, I don't think I would.
But I'm sure if you walked into the average Baptist church or church of the community, you're not going to have that kind of problem. But they're not going to trust you. They'll welcome you. They'll treat you fine until you disagree with them on issues like welfare or affirmative action. And in that very moment, you become an enemy.
Right.
You don't have, as a white person, they don't give you the right to disagree.
So I'd never be their sister in Christ, ever?
Never.
No,
Not until they forgive.
yeah.
Not until they stop hating. When they stop hating, they're going to see that it's not a color thing, it's a spiritual thing. And that's when you become a sister.
Let me throw one in here, okay?
Yes,
We had a church, the pastor was black, from Ballinger, Texas, down east of San Angelo.
Yes.
And the congregation, they had decided is going to be blacks and whites. He says it wasn't easy, but now they're really going and growing and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Now that's the way I believe that God wanted us to be.
He does. A lot of problem with that. I attended a large church in Los Angeles that, Fred Price Church. Crenshaw Christian Center, are you familiar with that? Mm-hmm. And it's blacks and whites and everybody there. And I went there for 7 years. I worked on the men publicity committee, gave my tithe and offering. And later on in years, because I left after a while because I wasn't really getting any help. I wasn't. So I left. And later, Fred Price fell out with a white minister friend of his who had helped that church a whole lot. And he taught, after he did that, Fred Price taught racism from the pulpit. And I never knew that was in his heart until then.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why I say, as soon as white people disagree with black people, they're all right as long as they agree. But the moment they disagree, because blacks are so resentful toward white America, that white friend become an enemy.
He used to be on this station years ago, and that's about when they said they didn't want to have anything more to do with us. You know?
Well, Mr. Peterson, I just wanted to say thank you for being so straight up, because I've never heard anybody just tell it like it is right on TV. That's just amazing. We sit here and just love every minute of it because we know it's the truth.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you over there in Los Cruces for calling, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was good, wasn't
You know,
it?
that's why I want to encourage white Americans to speak up too. Because God said that we should love our enemies, right? And one aspect of loving our enemies and one another is to tell the truth.
It sure
and
is.
the truth is God, is of God. And when you tell the truth and walk away, as long as you tell the truth and don't react, don't hate them for hating you for telling the truth. And when you walk away, the truth stays with that person or those people, and they have to think about it. But if you react to them, they're going to judge you and say, well, look, you're no better than I am. So they don't get a chance to look at themselves. And white Americans have a responsibility to tell the truth to and about black people as well.
You know, I learned a lot about you coming on this program. I wasn't too sure which way we'd go, you know, and but it's really been good for me, and I'm sure Tommie would say the same thing. And the viewers seem to really be enjoying it.
Well, that's good. People want the truth. There's
Amen.
They're ready to hear, and they can recognize it when they see it and when they hear it. That's why we got to tell the truth.
Is Billy on here?
I think Bill is on the...
Billy?
Bill.
Bill? Not on here. Okay.
He's coming.
We're trying to get another one on.
Yeah, and I admire you guys for having me on because, you know, a lot of network would be afraid to have me on for fear of being boycotted or whatever they do. And you got to love the truth to have me on.
I had Tommie on. Why not? Bill, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Bill, you're from Odessa.
That's correct.
Okay, glad you called in.
Thank you.
What's going on now?
Well, I'd like to talk to Brother Jesse, please.
Hi, Bill. I can hear you.
Thank you. I'm hearing you loud and clear. I've been watching your program. I watch you on the regular telecast, and I want to add something that I believe God wants us to do, and what you've spoken about tonight. You know, I think too many people in America today, and this pertains to black, whites, all colors of people. We're all spirits. A spirit has to have a body to live in.
Yes.
And I don't see it, you know, I'm a white person, but I don't see myself as a white person or you as a black man. If I saw you, I really wouldn't think of that. And I think too many people today have, and I think our political leaders and people you've spoken about like Jesse Jackson, they have encouraged people to trust in them, trust in man, rather than placing their faith in God to provide the things for them.
That's right. They stand between God and the person. And they pretend like they're pointing the right way when in reality they are not. You're 100% correct about that.
And I'd like to add something to the lady that spoke. I don't know whether it was the last person that called you or not. She was speaking about being a white person in a black church. The church I attend is a small church, and for a long time I was the only white individual in the church, but I never saw myself as being a white person when I went to church, and I don't believe the people there saw me as, oh, we have a white man here today. We have a lot of love in our church, and you know, I think we just accept each other as believers in Christ.
What church do you go to?
Embassy Christian Ministries in Odessa.
That's good to know, you know?
Well, you know, black people do focus on color more so than whites do.
Really?
Yeah, they do. It's talked about a lot in the black community and black homes and places like that. And the reason that blacks focus on color more so is because of the resentment toward white Americans. And that's why the color thing is there. But if we can get them to repent, drop their anger, forgive their parents, then the color thing would kind of fade away. You would see that the person is white or black, but you would see the person's heart, and that's what you would deal with more so.
The only time I ever think that I'm the white person in the church is when I'm speaking to somebody like you and I'm telling them about my church and about the love of the people.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you're right about that. That's why we got to tell the truth that it's not a race thing. It's a spiritual battle. It's a warfare between good and evil.
Well, you know, they say that when we get to heaven, Jesus is still going to look like a Jew. Al's still going to look like he is, and Jesse, you're going to look like that.
That's right.
Now, if we can't learn how to do it here, how are we going to practice it there?
That's right. That's why we have to take advantage of this opportunity, because this may be the only chance we get, to be honest. So why take the risk? You know, why not get over it now? Christ made it possible for us to get over it now, and we need to take advantage of it now, not wait until tomorrow.
And I don't think he set a private room aside just for me and my prejudices.
That's right. That's right.
If we don't take advantage of it now, I don't believe we'll have an opportunity in the future to take advantage of it.
I think you're right.
I wouldn't want to take that risk, that's for sure.
No.
And I think if we don't get this thing healed in this country, and I honestly think we have a big breach and it's got to be healed, Jesse, then we're in trouble in this country because you spoke so many times about the number of blacks who are converting to fanatic Islamics.
Yep, that's right. And we're going to see more and more of that if we don't change things. If we don't really represent what God is all about, if Christianity don't return to its natural state of being, we are going to see more of that. And as a result of that, we are going to suffer.
That's right.
Because I have to tell you, there's nowhere in the world where Islamic, as I know, Islamic religion is established and you find peace there. But you can find peace with Christianity. You cannot find it in Islamic religion. But it's taken over our country, and we are sitting back and allowing it to happen. We're afraid to tell the truth about it for fear of being called racist, that we're discriminating against that. But we got to tell the truth.
That's right.
We got to stand up.
And I think we need to applaud this gentleman who called in for the stand that he's doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate you for taking a stand for Christ.
Thank you so much, sir.
Goodbye.
God bless you.
Thank you.
The next caller that's going to come on, she don't want her name used, and I read what she wants to talk about.
Okay.
So when we get her on
fine.
here,
Okay.
and they'll dial her in here in just a minute.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the people calling in and wanting to talk to you.
Me too.
And that gives me and Tommie a good sign. They like your program, brother.
Well, I want everybody to call in so they'll know for sure. The number's on the screen.
Comment here, right?
That's right.
Any others that might
And ask
be
me anything. I'm not afraid of questions.
Okay, Deborah called and she said, do you remember when Million Man March was? Louis Farrakhan said he was the Messiah, and Jesse Jackson was standing next to him and heard him say it.
We touched that.
Yeah, but
Oh, she's confirming it.
Farrakhan said that, I thought on the other one said that Jesse was the Messiah.
Oh, he said that he was.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not surprised about that.
Right.
And I think Farrakhan, he met God in a spaceship or something, right? Did you hear something like that?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, something like that. But
Okay, our caller is on the line.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi there.
I just want to commend you for helping me learn about things that I don't know about down south. I have a mom that grew up in a communist-controlled country.
Yes.
God gave her America through a displaced persons camp. She's very young. And she's Slavic. And basically I understand from what my mother, she never told me what all she went through during the war. And just recently, the last 4 years, she's 76, she shared with me. And Slavic actually means slave. And so I learned that just actually the last couple of years. But my mom never promoted what she went through. And there's a situation where I work, huge call center, and I won't say names or what have you.
Right.
But I had a boss that right before I have this new manager, we have to change so-called teams and what have you. And basically what took place is I had a boss before this lady, and he was a man of color. He was white, and he was a Christian. Now, people craved to get on him as a manager. They would line up for his wisdom, his advice,
Yes.
because he is such a cool person. I mean, he radiated God's light and his strength.
Yes.
You could just see it. Well, when I went on to this other person's team, she's a lady of color. Of course, she's not a Christian. That's pretty plain to know. And believe you me, I kept praying to see the light in her face. It was just, I was almost desperate to see it. She knows what my background is and different ministries I've worked in for 33 years, what have you. But basically, no matter what you do, if you're white, she has her walls up. It's just, and I fasted. My prayer partners have been praying with me about this, and I'm asking you for your advice because she shows the favoritism. I knew that was going to be expected, and I have faced prejudice several times in my life before, but that doesn't mean I want to keep it around.
That's right.
To me, you don't want to nurture anything that's like a cancer, and I'm just
That's
asking
right.
you what your advice could be, because to me, I had such a day-night difference with my other boss, and this one's just, it's like Miss Attitude. She's known by other managers as Miss Attitude.
So this lady is your boss, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I would do, first of all, I would forgive her. I wouldn't hold it against her because she can't help it. And I would make sure I do what I'm supposed to do. I'll work hard. I'll be on time.
Yep.
I would keep good notes as to the way you're being treated.
Yeah.
And I would go to the next level with it. Tell her boss about what's going on. I would try to talk to this woman about it as well. But a lot of times you can't get through to those people. And so you don't want to give her a reason to get rid of you.
Yep.
So I would do everything that I'm supposed to do. I would try to reason with her. And if I can't, I would take it to the next level. But I would tell the truth, and I would not resent her.
No.
Because if you resent her, you're going to lose.
Yep, that's true.
You're going to overreact. You're going to do something wrong, and you're going to give her a reason to get rid of you.
That's true.
But and I have to tell you, I know what you're dealing with because, and again, not all, but the average black woman is almost impossible to deal with.
See,
They are
her
mean.
boss is
They're mean
she's a
and
black
angry.
lady too.
Have you gone to the post office lately?
Yeah.
Don't go to the post office. They've been there since they were 12, and they are mean and angry. You can't ask but one question, and so I know what you're doing. That's why a lot of black men are marrying out of their race or dating out of their race because they can't handle that kind of anger of the black
my tag
woman.
manager's black and his wife is white.
Yeah.
He's a really sweet person.
So you need to forgive her, but do what is right so you're protected.
Okay.
Now, the post I go to, the lady's a partner to this, and she's black, and she's a manager there, and she's a sweetheart.
Well, God bless her.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she's a good one.
believer.
But don't go to my post office.
See, it's not the post office. It's the lady that
That's where I have most
talking
of my
about that's
problems.
the manager is,
Yeah.
her boss is black too, so it's like, help me.
Yeah, you got to forgive her.
Yeah,
because
true.
she has personal issues going on.
Yep.
Doesn't know how to deal with them, so she take them out on the world around her.
Yeah.
And so when you show her
Yes,
patience, but honesty, she will see God in you, and then maybe a change can come for the good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you, lady.
Well,
Yeah.
bless you too. I love y'all.
And we'll pray that you get your situation straightened out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we will. We definitely will. But if she just don't judge her
Yeah.
and do what's right, God's going to take care of her no matter what.
that's right.
Yeah, He'll take care of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's kind of like me. I get mad at the FCC, and then when I shut up and let God handle it,
It works out. It always does. That's right. It always works out.
you know, it's
And plus, that challenge that she's had with her boss is really, two things are happening. It's to show her that if she has a relationship with God or not. Because when you believe in God, you deal with the world differently than you
That's
did
right.
before you believed in Him. You overcome the world rather than reacting to the world. So that is happening for this lady that called. And also her boss is going to look at the way she's dealing with her. You know, her boss may think one day, I'm mean to this woman. I'm not treating her well, and she's so kind. She's doing her job. She's on time. And she can feel conflict from that. And maybe she'll be born again. You just never know what can come out of it. Because the power of love that's in Christians are greater than the hell that's in the people that don't believe in God.
That's right.
But we have to show it.
You know, I'm kind of assuming from the number of calls that we're getting here that you people enjoy doing this kind of a program with Jesse. And if you do, let us know. We'll try to work out, schedule Jesse where you can be here a little more often. I think we got somebody on the phone.
Yes, Jesse's on the phone.
Jesse?
Yes.
Hey, Jesse.
How are y'all doing tonight?
All is well.
First of all, I want to give all praise and glory to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
Amen. And there's been a little bit of something bothering me. I don't know how it's going in the community where you live at, but I have been noticing that there's like a lot of division in the church.
A lot of what?
Division.
Yes.
Division.
Yes, sir. It is.
And it seems to, because I came out of a gang, and it seems like it's like a gang mentality in different churches.
Yes, sir.
If you're not from this group or if you're not from that group, you're not saved.
Come on, brother, you're preaching it right.
Yeah.
And it's real disturbing, and it's really an attack of the devil, because if you go in the scriptures, Jesus said that if a house is divided against itself, it can't stand.
Yeah.
So what the devil is trying to do is divide the body of Christ with all these little technicalities or grudges or attitudes or maybe even jealousy, because pastor is building up a new church, or these brothers over here are evangelizing, and little things, when somebody gets blessed, it seems like it's not the unbelievers that we're dealing with, but the people that are supposed to be saved that are rising up with grudges.
Let me ask, have you pointed this out to your pastor?
It's where I'm at right now. It's not happening where I'm at right now.
Oh, okay.
But I've been in other churches, and it has happened, and I've prayed against it. And I'm not the kind of person to try to. Maybe I need to be a little bit more bold, but I like to pray about things more.
Well,
issues like that. Maybe
God wants you to pray, but He wants you to do a little more. He wants you to take action too. And so what I would recommend, when you see that stuff going on, you need to go to the head and tell them about it. And you need to bring those people with you, the people that are doing it, or take the pastor to them and confront that issue head on, and then it will stop.
It'll snap it.
Right, but if you don't expose it and it stays hidden in the darkness, it's going to destroy everything around it. But I recommend go to the pastor that's expose what's going on.
Okay.
And, just tell them, you know what, I was here today, and Mary and John was talking about Sue and talking about you and everything else, just bring it to the light. Then it would change.
Amen.
Are you able to do that? Are you bold enough to do that?
I will be. You know, I will be. You know, is this something that I believe I can do, and it's believe. You know, it just.
You have a responsibility to do it.
Right. Yeah.
You have to do it.
Amen. And I will. I'll start bringing stuff like that out because you know it's disturbing. You know, and it's.
Yeah, what it is too, you're feeling the guilt of knowing that it's going on, and as a man of God, you're not doing anything about it. You have a responsibility to lead the way, to be that example. And by not handling it, you're not being the example.
And you can be wrong.
That's right, and that's what he will find out.
Yeah.
If you go there and you're wrong, you know what, I'm wrong, but this is what it looked like, I'm sorry.
And that's where repentance really feels
That's
good.
right. Yes, sir.
Amen.
Well, I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Amen.
God bless you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Well, you know, we're getting the calls in here, in and out. Got any fill-ins here?
Well, Bill called back and he would like for you to just call him sometime while you're here this week. And
Well, we'll just give him the phone number.
yeah.
You know, speaking of exposing, and we have church at my organization, we have Sunday morning services, and that kind of crap doesn't go on. If it does, the men and women know that they have to expose it. You can't let the devil just come even into the church and just rob you. And the devil loves to stay hidden and take advantage. He can't handle the light. So when you expose him, you bring him to the light, it's over. And we have a responsibility to be the light of the world.
And the church there in your organization,
Yes.
are you the pastor of it?
I am, yes. And so they know they can come to me with anything.
Do you rule with a rod?
Yes, I do. And I'm tougher this year than last year.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
We got Tony?
Yes?
Hey, Tony.
Mr. Peterson, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I got to be honest, and I haven't heard you that much, but you're making out every black person except you to be evil. And
Oh, not at all.
No, I said not all. That's what I said, not all, but most.
Most.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you black?
Let me ask you this. How do you say most?
Are you black?
Yes, I'm very black.
Oh, okay. So your question is, how do I say most?
How do you come up with the statistics and this overwhelming
Good question.
number? Now, if you say some
Right.
or this specific group or that one, I mean, this is a large country, and I think there are about 14 million blacks, maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, let me
I
answer
know
this. This is a
so
good
many
question.
hard-working, good people. They don't hate white people. I know some who do, and I've taught my kids that, you know, this is horrible. We don't want to do what's been done to us in the past.
Right.
That's
Let's agree on something first, all right? Would you agree that anything over 50% is most, right?
Yeah, 50% of anything is most.
Okay.
Yeah.
90% of black Americans vote for Democrats year in and year out, and most of those people call themselves Christians. It is clear to anybody with any common sense now that the Democratic Party represents evil. They're for abortion, they're for homosexuality, cheating on your wife, anti-military, living together before marriage. Let me finish. Living together before marriage. 90% of blacks vote for that party. Would that be possible if they truly believed in God?
Let me ask you this.
No,
here.
answer the question first.
No, I don't think, I think that you're wrong.
No, answer
Okay,
the
let me
question first. I asked you, I asked you if they believe in God,
If they believe in God.
could they support evil too?
Well, first off, you're trying to
No,
trap
give me
me
an
into
answer.
saying
I
that the
need an
Democratic
answer.
Party is evil.
No.
And
Could
I'm
you
not gonna
support
fall
good
into that
and
trap.
evil? Okay then, you don't
I
believe
think there
me.
are plenty of good people who vote both ways. Are you sitting here telling me that
No,
everybody
you're not
that's
answering
not
my
a
question, sir.
Democrat are so godly and so right?
No. Let me ask you this. Abortion, is that good or evil?
Is it good or evil?
Is it good or evil?
Okay. Let me say this here.
You're not answering my
I don't
question.
believe abortion is right. No, I'm going to answer on that. I believe abortion is wrong.
Is it evil?
But you know what, though?
No,
Listening
isn't evil,
to you,
sir.
You're castigating all these black people when many of them came and get a good job. Now,
What's that
two
got to do with
wrongs don't
abortion?
make
I
it
know.
right.
What does that have to do with abortion and voted for a party that supports evil?
Because here's the problem. People like you are putting down poor people and people of no means, calling them racist and
I didn't say
evil.
anything about poor people.
And I see people working 2 or 3 jobs.
So you're not answering my question. You're in denial.
Well, so are you. And not only that, you are a liar,
There
and
you go.
know it. How much do
what
you
have
get
I
paid
lied
for
about?
your appearances?
Let me ask you something. Tell me
How much
one
do
thing
you
I've
get
lied about.
paid?
Tell me one thing I've lied about. One thing.
I can answer how much
Well,
it gets paid.
I tell you one thing you've lied about. When you say most black people,
I just
you're
gave
lying.
you. Okay,
If
let me ask
said
you.
Some.
One last thing. Let me tell you about the pay. I don't get the pay. All right, I'm doing it because this is what God has given me to do. And He's given 2 good people that put up on their heart to give me the opportunity to get the word out. But let me ask you this: 70% of black babies are born out of wedlock. Is that good or evil?
It's never good when babies are born out of wedlock.
No. So where am I wrong? You just said I'm saying things.
I am a parent that's been with my kids from day
But
one.
you
with
said
my
that
wife
I am wrong,
for
sir.
16 years.
Where am I wrong?
I think you're wrong in trying to narrow all this down to a simple black-white issue.
It is. There's no
not
gray
that.
area.
We got...
You're either born again, serve God, or you're not.
Black or white.
Black
so
or white.
it's either what you think and only what you think.
But
and
that's what God said. Didn't God say you're either of Him or of your father, the devil?
Absolutely, but
So-
He didn't say what He didn't. He didn't go around all over TV. God never went around like you're doing, trying to demonize one group.
Well,
and
they
turn
didn't
them
have
against
TV
another.
in those times, right? When Christ was around, they didn't have TV.
Yeah, well, He didn't even do it on paper.
Well, you don't read the Bible, huh? But this is.
You know what?
Let me just say
I know
about
more
this.
about the Bible than you think. So you don't know me. Here's your problem.
Yes, I
and
do
I'm
know
listening
you.
to you criticize and judge everybody that you don't even know these people. You know what you see on
Let
TV.
me just say-
and you're cashing in because there are a lot of people
Cashing
out there that
in?
want you to say what you're saying.
Let me just say this to you. You don't make
know,
money from telling the truth.
Maybe
believe
that
me.
room in heaven isn't waiting on you like you think it is.
Sir, let me say this to you. This young man on the phone, this man on the phone is a perfect example of what is wrong in the black community.
By the way, I'm not a young man.
Well-
I'm not a young man.
Well, old man. That's even worse. Old
It
man.
is.
All right, I appreciate
Yeah,
your
well,
call, though.
I tell
Thank
you what, I'd like to see God welcome you after you have did.
All right, thanks
so
for your
many-
call. We're going to let him go. But I want to make the point that one of the big problems in the black community today, and now happening in the white community, is that you have men that are thinking that way. They're in denial about what is wrong.
That's right.
And because we have the responsibility to lead the way, how can you find a way if the men are all out to lunch? And this guy is denying good and accepting evil. And we got to tell the truth for that to come. And that's why we're at Bond, we're rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I believe that if we can get men to turn back to God, all men, then let God guide them and they can guide their wives and children in the right way to go.
You know, I need to address the thing about how much money you get
Yeah.
paid. If we sold advertising, I wouldn't have on the screen, yeah, look at that. Make her renew your pledge. You know, could go in
right.
their control room.
That's right.
Because we would be dickering and arguing over how much money are you going to get for an appearance.
That's right.
But
I don't get money for coming.
You don't get nothing.
And yet
get-
what I do
give me
get
your
is
hand.
greater than money.
You get a handshake from
Believe
me.
me, it's greater than money. You know, they only say stuff like that because they can't say you are wrong.
Yes.
And so
That's
since
right.
they can't say you are wrong, they go into personal attacks and they make up stuff that's not even true.
Well-
Anything to deny the truth. That's what it is.
What we would suggest is people just start really searching out the facts for themselves.
Yes,
Read the Bible.
that's right.
Read
How
the
can you
Bible.
read the Bible and make those kind of
No,
statements?
you can't.
It's
And,
madness.
you know, he was saying that you're picking on the blacks. Well, he'd probably have a cross burning out in the front if he was picking on the whites that way, but we got the same problem.
That's right.
Exactly.
It is, and we work with all people, but I'm a black man who God has given the responsibility. Because white people are afraid to do it. Somebody got to do it, so God has given me the responsibility to do it. And if it wasn't for God, I would not be doing it.
That's right.
Believe me, I would not get up on my own and just do it.
Well, it's a spiritual problem, like you say, that is for in the white community, the black community, the Hispanic community.
That's right.
No doubt in the Oriental community.
That's right. All communities.
All communities.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual problem, and only the Holy Spirit can fix it.
The only way. No other way it could be resolved.
And you know what? You summed it all up. If you think Christian television is an easy thing, come and swap jobs with me. Well, this has been a very interesting
I appreciate
program.
everybody calling in tonight.
I do too.
That was
It
really
tremendous.
had some excellent calls.
It's
We had one here from Ernest in Clovis, said, how do you get churches to outreach to the community? I don't know if you can answer that in 30 seconds.
You're not going to be able to get the churches to do it. We're going to have to go out and do it.
Individuals have to do it.
Individuals have to do it.
Yeah.
And we
That's
got to
always
remember
what happens.
what the church is. It's not that building. It's not that pastor. It's
That's
you
right.
and me.
Our bodies are the temple of the Lord.
That's right.
It is there we should worship Him. It's there where He lives, so we have to work out of that.
Yeah.
And that's how you reach the people.
Yes, sir.
My brother,
Thank you, Al.
thank you. I hope it's not long before you
It
come
won't
back
be.
and be one of these programs.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you so much.
We love you and
I'm glad you
appreciate
heard
you.
me on the radio show that day.
Me too.
Well,
It was a life changer
Yes.
for a lot of people, not just you and me.
Yes.
these last closing seconds, I say, if you don't like us, don't send in money, change channels. You do help us. God bless you. Remember, pray for the
Amen.
peace of Jerusalem.
You're watching the Primetime Christian Broadcasting Network, home of God's Learning Channel.